Saturday, 5th of April, 2025 at 9 a.m. exactly here on Harstine Island, Washington, United States of America. Welcome once again to our cosmic journey. It is your Dev and Design podcast featuring two astrology twunks making the world's best astrology software. I am Twunk Jake. He is Twunk Trey. Hello, Trey.
Hello, Jake.
I think we're probably too old to be twunks.
Even. Yeah, I think you're working on it. I mean, you've been super tracking your macros and working out and running. You ran 3 times yesterday. Our poor dog is barely able to walk today because of his terrible arthritis.
I went for a walk. I also went for a kind of hike up and down, like a cliff face down to the beach. And then I went for a run. So they weren't all runs, but I did run 5K with the dog, and he was having lots of problems around kilometer 3. And this is really because in kilometer 1, he was so excited and moving so fast. And I told him, I was like, buddy, we're in for the long haul here.
Yeah, he doesn't pace himself.
He doesn't understand. It's not a thing for dogs to get.
Yeah.
Welcome to today's episode. It's called The Light Shines In. There's a ton to show in this episode. We have light mode, we've got simple mode, we've got simple light mode, we've got glyphs, we've got dignity. Do we have dignity? I don't think that he and I have dignity, no. But there is the idea of a dignified point within a chart and the rules that go with that. But before we get to all that, of course, we start with the check-in. Mr. Henry.
My check-in question for you today is, what are you most looking forward to this summer? But it cannot include anything related to cosmic.
What am I looking forward to this summer? But nothing relating to the confines, the jail that I've created for myself, the bars here that are cosmic. Our dog is, of course, very emotional right now and is chewing up a toy. So if you hear some crunching in the background, that's part of the bars.
Also, we should be clear that the dog doesn't actually have arthritis. This is just an ongoing joke where I say that he has arthritis, and
yeah. We forgot to tell the viewer, our dog does not. Here, let me go to one up. Our dog does not have arthritis. It's an ongoing joke for everything that he does that is lazy. That he, his arthritis is acting up, and so right now his arthritis is acting up, and therefore he's tearing apart a toy.
Exactly.
But back to the question at hand. There's the squeaks. Aside from cosmic, I've got two big plans. One is to relaunch 2 of my card games, Color Chaos, and what used to be called Low High, but has a different name, which will come a little bit later. And the second thing is that I am very interested in learning Dutch. And I think between those 2 things, learning Dutch and relaunching those 2 card games, that for me makes a summer. It has nothing to do with barbecuing, nothing to do with heat, nothing to do with sunshine. Could not care less about all of those things, because you know what comes with barbecue, heat, and sunshine? Mosquitoes. And they are my nemesis. Mosquitoes really and spiders. Yeah. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. I'm not a big summer guy. I gotta say. I'm more spring and fall.
Yeah. Your favorite days are when it's overcast, not too cold, but still kind of chilly, overcast, a little bit of drizzle. You're kind of made for the Pacific Northwest in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. If we could just go to my screen for a second, let me just go here. You'll see that our forecast was sunny up until, very recently. And you can see here that now all of a sudden we got some rain. I am so happy. So very happy.
But it's going to be super nice today. It's going to be 19 degrees.
Nice is a qualitative word. I find it to be horrible and stifling. What about you, Mr. Henry? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I was going to say also on the mosquitoes, but just so that the viewer knows that mosquitoes, we could be in a crowd of people and Jake will be covered in mosquitoes and everybody else will be fine. If you've got Jake in your group when you are hanging out at night, in anywhere that has mosquitoes, nobody has to worry because they will all be on Jake.
The only other person that's ever attracted more mosquitoes is my mother. So if it's my mother and me and the rest,
then
it will be 80%.
It's a mosquito smorgasbord.
80% Doreen, 17.5% Jake, 2.5% everybody else. And the
Yeah.
thing is that if I wear, sorry to interrupt, if I wear
Yeah.
something like citronella, like if I like put citronella oil on and I repel some of the mosquitoes, then all of a sudden everyone's like, what the hell? We have to go inside. And I'm like, yes, you do.
We actually watched there was one night where my parents have a table outside and then they have a mosquito net around it, like a little bug net around it. And we were out there one summer night. I don't know, this was a couple of years ago. And we're all sitting out there, and behind Jake's back on the screen are just a ton of mosquitoes trying to get him through the screen. And they're like all right there behind Jake.
And I move as close as I can to it so that they go crazy. And they're just like, oh! I don't know. There's some reason genetically that this happens.
Weird.
I can't explain it.
Mine is definitely more weather related. So I'm really looking forward to doing some sailing this summer. We got some in last summer for sure. We did a couple of trips and it was really lovely. We had friends on the boat and it was great. But this year I'm definitely looking forward to doing some sailing and enjoying the beautiful Pacific Northwest from the sailboat.
I love being the beneficiary of the sailing trips. I don't necessarily love being a worker on the sailboat, but I'm looking forward to the beneficiary, the benefits of that, to be the beneficiary of that. So,
yeah,
very good. Sailing trips, launching card games, talking Dutch. Good check-in, everyone. Good check-in.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk a little bit about light mode, and we're going to start showing some things in Storybook, if that's okay with you. As we have heard from countless practitioners, not having a light mode in your application is something that is going to be a breaking problem. Like that some people say, like, I will not use your software if there is not a light mode. Trey and I are very much dark mode type of people. You might have noticed just from our clothing and our just general demeanor. Oh
my God, there really is a sort of like, I think light mode and dark mode are kind of like indicators of personality. Maybe.
Probably.
Interesting.
I will make a challenge here. Let me go to 2 Up for a second. I will make a challenge to you.
Yes.
If you buy me clothing, make sure to buy it light. Like, just go light colors with it. So instead of a dark sweatshirt, go for a light sweatshirt and just see if my personality, light hats, things like that, and just see if my personality changes and see if all of a sudden I'm a light mode guy.
Yeah, or maybe it's like seasonal too. Like maybe you can't be light mode after May.
Summer. I'm looking forward to this summer.
Made the same joke.
I'm looking forward to this summer being the light mode guy. Light mode Jake is coming. We have to do light modes. We have to do dark modes, and that means that it's a design thing. Trey has done a good job to set all of that stuff up so that we could, play with the design of that. The royal we, me. I could play with the design. And that has happened. So not only did we do light mode and dark mode, which is called stellar light and stellar dark, we also did what's called simple light and simple dark, because we need something that doesn't have a lot of gradients and accoutrement that goes with it. Mostly because some people just can't handle that in their digital tools. So,
or some people just really like it for like doing YouTube videos and things like that.
That's a good point too. Right. Didn't even think about that. So it is certainly for either people's preferences just generally or for their preferences in doing things like YouTube video. We're seeing over here on the left-hand side Storybook. You've seen this many times before. And what you're seeing here is the ring card in Stellar Dark. Very familiar with all of that stuff. As Trey had showed previously, you can seat this thing within the UI. So this is the Stellar Dark mode 4. Within like what will be the chart context. So this is that panel that's on the left-hand side. You'll also notice if you look below, it now says event chart and now chart. That was all me. I made sure that we can now switch between the two. So let's take a look at Stellar Dark's now. Oh, very good. There's the now. And then we go back to the event. Now, the dates don't change and the other things in the card don't change, but don't worry about that. This is purely around aesthetics. Let's move to Stellar Light. Let's take a look at it in Stellar Light. Boom. Ooh. And I think it looks really nice. So
I think it looks so good, honestly. It makes me want to use light mode now.
Me too. The thing that I usually don't like about light mode is that things start looking so washed out that they look dingy or dull. So I spent a lot of time on that. If you here, let me go to your screen all the way up because I'm going to zoom in on
Yeah.
this. Hold on a second.
I can zoom in on something too.
So can
If I
you?
could do,
Yeah, it's the panel. It's the actual panel, not the
oh, the
card.
panel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just I've got to zoom in. Don't worry about me. Like, look, I know.
Yes.
Hey, let's go back to me. I know full well how to zoom in on things very easily in video. After 82 episodes, I've gotten pretty good at it. So, what you will notice, if we're going back to just trace screen here, is that there's the card that's seated at the top, but also the gradient in the background is, if you just choose things that are gray, it will start to look very washed out. And you will see this in certain games as well. So I play a game called Code Names, and the gold pieces that you get from it look really vibrant, but the gray piece, the silver pieces, excuse me, don't look silver. They look gray because it's a
Right.
very common issue in UI to think that silver is gray and gray looks super washed out. And this is also why I just don't really like light mode, because it looks dingy. You will notice though that that panel on the left hand side actually is purple. It goes from what's called silver violet. Wait, let me see if I can do my. It goes this way to this way to this way. Holy crap, my brain! This way to this way in silver violet, and that gives it a little bit more of like a sheen to it, so that it still looks good and still looks nice.
Yeah. It's got a little bit of saturation to it.
I'm not a traditional designer. I don't necessarily get super jazzed or like pumped about UI, but this is a part of UI that I really like. Of like, I'm going to make this look good. Like, I don't want this to look washed out. If you go to the now chart, the now card, so you can see that in the contrast is probably not very high. I bet you if you have an event and now, it would look decent, but like the difference between now and event looks a lot more striking on Stellar Black than it does Stellar Dark, excuse me, than Stellar Light. But it's okay. If you go back there, yeah, this looks way different. And then on Stellar Light, it's a little bit muted. Maybe something to change. I don't know. Now that I'm talking through it,
I don't know. I think it. I mean, we'll have, like you said, we'll have to see a multi-ring chart and like kind of see how it feels in context. But
yeah, exactly.
I think it looks great. I think it's totally going to sing.
So let's go to simple. Let's go to simple dark. So simple dark will not have any. It will really only be solid colors, and so you can see here that it's purely solid background with a solid foreground. If you, excuse me, go to simple light. Oh yeah, the now card, perfect. I think that looks pretty good actually for something that is supposed to be a kind of accessibility mode. If you go to simple light, I actually think this looks really good. I actually like this better than Stellar Light, now that I have to admit, because I think it's much more striking, much more obvious what's going on.
I think I like simple Stellar Light better.
Oh, I just like that. You know, now you went to Stellar Light, and I like that. Simple.
I mean, honestly, they're both so great that I think people are really gonna just, yeah. I think, you know, in Urania, I put a few themes in there, and I don't have the skill to like really make a theme sing, and so nobody really uses anything other than just like the standard dark. Yeah. And this I think people will really be interested in trying out these other themes.
Yeah. So there you have it. That is everything that we did in terms of light mode and dark mode when it comes to our ring cards and the background of the panel where this all sits in. So pretty exciting stuff. Love
Very exciting.
Let's go to let's talk a little bit about glyphs.
Just to go back to you putting in this card type in Storybook. One of the things over the last like week that I think Jake and I have been progressively more and more falling in love with Storybook. Yes. It is absolutely fantastic. And so one of the things that I did in migrating the glyphs over, so let me show this for a second. So these are the planet glyphs. And so the cool thing is that I can like just change the size, right? And so, you know, we can kind of like see things at different sizes, whatever. But then I also, just made it so that in this particular view, let me just get down to here. I'll just do Mercury. Sorry, I probably could have done this ahead of time, but whatever.
We can
But
cut this
you're kind
out.
of seeing everything. You're seeing the nodes. You're seeing the lots. Our cool angle glyphs. Okay, so now I could just be like just focused on Mercury, and
There it
then
is.
yeah,
There they
there's just the
is.
Mercury one, and then I can also show the Mercury with retrograde.
Yes.
And then if I wanted to do just two next to each other, so let's say that like I wanted to see Mercury and Venus, then I can go to Mercury and Venus and turn on their retrogrades and see what things look like together. And then the other cool thing is that you could just like go down to like what do they look like super small? Like if you had them on a really tiny chart, you know.
Yeah, that one's probably
Uh,
too tiny, unfortunately.
yeah. But I mean, it's like being able to do this kind of stuff really easily. Like we um, with our home rolled firmament thing, it wasn't easy to just add parameters and do like these variants and just see what they look like,
Exactly.
And then I also created like separate views that just contain the nodes or just contain the angles or just contain the parts. So we
Look at
did
that
that.
part of arrows.
Yeah, and then we also did the house glyphs. So we brought the house glyphs over. A cool thing here is that obviously you can just do these same exact variants. What does it look like big? What does it look like small, etc.
You can put
And
a
then
number in there much bigger than 12 if you wanted to, as
it's
we
true.
kind of
Yeah, I did that.
were making jokes about this, about folks in new astrology being like, in my 64,200 house.
So yeah, zodiac. Obviously, all of our beautiful zodiac glyphs, which Jake designed. So yeah, it's all the glyphs are brought over now, which is absolutely fantastic. I think that's it for glyphs, and then I was just going to quickly talk about dignity.
It's just so funny to say. So quick. Just to quickly talk about dignity.
Yeah, and this one I'm not going to do like a terminal demo. I just ran the tests here, but just to show that like we brought like I basically migrated all of the logic around dignity over. So we have domicile, exaltation. A lot of this stuff is just like it's very simple rule based kind of stuff, but the way that you implement it can have a big difference on how it gets used in the product. So anyway, we have domicile, exaltation, triplicity, detriment, and fall, Egyptian term, and face. And so, yeah, all of that came over. One of the fun things that I did in the tests here is you'll see that it's like does not fail with a random sign, or like in like the terms, like does not fail with a random sign and degree.
Yeah.
So I just because we don't want
choosing
to.
some random stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to create tests that are testing everything that the code does when you know that one example of it is enough to validate that the thing works correctly.
Exactly.
But randomly cycling it versus just picking one is kind of a nice way of making sure that there aren't some weird edge cases that show up over time or whatever. It's not quite fuzzing, but it's getting there.
Would you consider ever making multiple random takes on that thing? So it's like here's like 64. I don't know, like tests.
Yeah, that actually is fuzzing, right? So like fuzz testing, or I think that's what it's called. It is basically where you throw a bunch of random stuff, including random stuff that is way outside of what you would expect for an input to be able to handle. So like, giving it like degrees that are beyond 360, or giving it letters instead of degrees, or like just throwing everything at something is kind of like to see if it breaks in weird boundary cases. This isn't quite doing that entirely, because it's really just every time you run the tests, it'll do a random, one random test. That's not really going to tell you a lot other than, the function generally works as expected, but it's not going to tell you that the function doesn't break in weird edge cases. So
one more thing to talk about.
Yeah.
That we did a little bit. It has nothing to do with the first milestone, which is coming in about 9 to 10 weeks. It's going to be well past that. It is our subscription model and how we are tracking things in our subscription model, what's called our entitlement system. Now, we have dignity, but we also have entitlement. That is two things that don't go well together. God, we sound like a billionaire. We sound like a billionaire oligarch. Dignity and entitlement all in one. So the entitlement system here, this is an OOUX Orca style object map that is shown on the left-hand side here. Core content is in the yellow, red is our metadata, blue are the embedded objects, the relationships that exist in here. So what you see here, if I zoom in on entitlement, is that this is not even the full list of stuff that's in our entitlements, but it goes on and on and on and on and on. And it was like one of these things that I started thinking about, and I was like, oh, this shouldn't be super difficult. And then I started really thinking about it, and I was like, oh, there's like this. Oh, there's like this. Oh, what about this edge case? What about this? And all of a sudden, the entitlement object that we have that's planned for milestone 2 and beyond is way bigger than I expected, and probably bigger than this. So I bet you that there are things that I am not even thinking about here. So I also did a little bit of thinking about entitlement, personal entitlement, entitlements that you will gladly buy one day.
You'll be so excited.
You'll be so excited. You can't get enough of these entitlements.
Extremely dignified entitlements.
Extremely dignified
entitlements. Can you see that?
You've had 2 now sun shimmers that are coming in. So right now
I look like I'm in light mode. This is the like silver gradient light mode.
Look, the universe is telling you switch to light mode. What should the good viewer do? I suspect we know.
Switch to light mode.
Switch to light mode. You know what? Y'all are in dark mode. Come on, let's shake off those winter blues. Move to light mode. Even if the grays are dingy, it's totally fine. Be well. Take care.
It's April.
It's April. It's Aquarius season. My God, it's Aries season. Hello. Be well. Take care. We love you very much. We hope that you have a lovely week, and we are going to see you again next week. Goodbye.
Bye.